Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace, mercy, and blessings of God be upon you. This is a new presentation from www.central-mosque.com and the Humble Heart YouTube channel. It is the 28th episode of the Making Sense series. The topic today is July 17th, 2022 provincial elections of Pakistan, a make or break moment for Pakistan, literally. So, what is going on right now in Pakistan? The government of Imran Khan, as you all know, has been ousted. They are no longer in power, but they have huge public support. And by huge, I mean massive, massive numbers. Imran Khan is traveling throughout Pakistan, and his gatherings have got massive record numbers. I have never seen such attendance in even smaller parts of Pakistan, let alone major cities, and they're demanding free and fair elections. If there were free and fair elections held today in Pakistan, there's absolutely no doubt that Imran Khan and his government will come back, or his party will come back to power in in a massive majority. But that request has been denied by the current government and establishment, etc., because of that very fact that if there were free and fair elections, then they would be ousted and there will be accountability and reckoning by the Imran Khan government. So, before I proceed and talk about my topic, let me tell you something about the geography and logistics of Pakistan. So, here's the capital of Pakistan, Islamabad. It is right at the border of Punjab province and the northern Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. This northern province, which borders Afghanistan, the provincial government, Imran Khan's party has huge majority, and they control the state machinery, the state police, the constabulary and paramilitary forces, etc. Then this next province, which is, as I said, by population, it is the largest province of Pakistan, is very influential, has huge numbers, sends a lot of members of parliament, etc., and senators to Pakistan, borders Islamabad, and this whoever controls this province because of its influence pretty much controls the government in Pakistan. Imran Khan's government was also ruled this province until about 25 of its members rebelled, and now the imposed government of Pakistan also rules this province right here. The reason because it's important is because of its proximity to the capital of Pakistan, and they use the police, the intelligence sources, and everything else within this province to crack down onto any demonstrations, any peaceful protests, whatever Imran Khan and his party are trying to do in Islamabad and around in this area, which is the capital of Pakistan. So keep this geography and the importance of Punjab in mind, not only because of population numbers, but because of its proximity to the capital of Pakistan. So what has happened? Imran Khan's government, as I said, right here in this province, they ruled this province until 25 members of Imran Khan's government rebelled. There is evidence within the public domain of bribing, corruption, coercion, which caused these 25 members to rebel. The Constitution of Pakistan states that if you are elected on the ticket of a particular party, then you cannot go against the wishes of that party when it comes to voting for leadership. So, after a lot of, dragging their heels, etc., the court system in Pakistan, they accepted that. It is an accepted principle. And they said, okay, so because these 25 members rebelled against Imran Khan, they were deseated, they were disqualified. Now, automatically, logic tells you that if these 25 members rebelled, and that's what caused Imran Khan's government in the province to fall, then they should have called for elections. Obviously, there is a legal precedence. But because the judiciary is biased, all they did is they had no choice but to actually accept that yes, these 25 members rebelled. So all they did is they called a limited elections pointing to these 25 seats only. Out of these 25 seats, 5 seats were reserved. Reserved means for minority, for special status, etc., etc. Again, the Constitution of Pakistan is very clear that on those seats, it goes back to the party without election. So after a lot of dragging their heels, they granted that to Imran Khan's party. Again, it's very explicit in the Constitution. But the other 20 seats that remain, what the Judiciary and the Election Commission of Pakistan has decided, that there will be an election on those 20 seats on the 17th of July 2022, coming up in the next few days. So what is the current situation? The current government, which is in power in the province and using the resources of the province, particularly the police, etc., to crack down on innocent civilians and citizens of Pakistan, currently occupies 177 seats in the province. Again, I'm talking about a province of Pakistan, which is very significant because of population, and not all of Pakistan, just the province. This election is within a province of Pakistan. So they hold 177 seats. In order for them to stamp their authority and continue, although they are illegitimate because the 25 seats were demerited. So this should have been a fresh election from the beginning, but we are where we are. In order for them to stamp and legitimize their authority, they need to win at least 9 of the 20 seats on the 17th of July. Imran Khan's party, because a lot of people are not familiar with the Urdu name, Tehreek-e-Insaf, so I keep calling it Imran Khan's party for simplicity. They currently have 173 seats in that provincial assembly, and they need to win 13 out of 20. So if they win 13 out of 20, they oust this current government, they go ahead and put in their own chief minister for the province, and then it becomes a different equation. However, there are forces lined up against Imran Khan's government, 5 separate sources, all trying to coordinate and all trying to rig the elections to make sure that Imran Khan and his party does not win 13 seats out of the 20. The 5 forces against Imran Khan are the current government, obviously. And I'll tell you why this province, the government in this province is very important in a minute. So the current government is utilizing all the powers at its disposal, police, etc., to crack down and ensure that Imran Khan's party does not win 13 plus seats out of 20. The religious parties of Pakistan, the religious political parties rather, I should say, are also playing their part to ensure that Imran Khan's party does not win 13 out of plus seats out of the 20. The judiciary, the Supreme Court, the High Court of the province, etc., the Election Commission of Pakistan, and lastly and more importantly, the Pakistani Army leadership, ISI, which is the secret organization and the military intelligence, etc., civilian intelligence, in cahoots, are also making sure that Imran Khan does not win. How are these people doing that? Number one, the current government is cracking down against Imran Khan, the leaders of his party, and even on civilians, to the point where there was massive protest in Islamabad, and all they're calling for, Islamabad being the capital of Pakistan, of free and fair elections. They cracked down and shelled women, children, and stuff with expired tear gas, which caused huge allergic reactions, etc. So in this picture, you see children who are crying. The children were choking. They were taken to the hospital in great numbers. Women, children, etc. The police is inflicting huge brutality at the behest of the current government of Pakistan. So they are using heavy-handed tactics to disperse support for Imran Khan in these protests and meetings and things like that. Next are the religious parties of Pakistan. So this person right here, Maulana Fazlur Rahman, you've seen a few videos of me about Maulana. So he is sort of, this is the largest Deobandi political party in Pakistan, and he is part of the current government, and in essence, basically aligned with the current government. However, there have been senior scholars in this party which are split up, and rightly so, because the accusations they keep making against Imran Khan, ungrounded, are unfounded. However, they are trying their absolute best to turn out the religious vote in favor of the current government and against Imran Khan. This is another Deobandi religious party of Pakistan, which is called Sipah Sahaba, and the father of this person, Maulana Azam Tariq, rahimahullah ta'ala, he started his campaign against Shias and disrespect of Sahaba radiallahu ajma'in. A lot of Deobandis in Pakistan have huge respect for his father. However, he has also aligned with the current government and gone against Imran Khan. So these two are two of the larger Deobandi parties in Pakistan. This third, Saad Rizvi, Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, is a Barelvi party. Again, a huge number, and they are also against Imran Khan. Now, importantly, these are the people who blockaded Pakistan, caused all sorts of international relations problems for Pakistan when, because they wanted the French ambassador to be ousted from Pakistan while Imran Khan's government was in power, and they did not want any relationships with Israel. The current government has done both. They have sent delegation to Israel. They are representing tomorrow or in the next 2 days when Biden is going to be visiting Saudi Arabia. There are political leadership and religious leadership of Pakistan in Saudi Arabia. So the current government is doing that, initiating back channel, backdoor negotiations with Israel. And Pakistan has reached out to France, and there are unconfirmed reports that they're going to be extending loans of a few $1 billion to Pakistan. This party right here is also in cahoots with the current government and against Imran Khan. Next, the Supreme Court and the judiciary. So on the 14th of July 2022, out of the blue, the Supreme Court on one of the cases, they recommended Imran Khan and the leadership of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party, which is the political party of Imran Khan, to be tried for treason by the parliament, and basically treason is punishable by death. And they've done that a few days before the election. So the Supreme Court is playing its part as well. Next, Election Commission. So the Election Commission of Pakistan are massively rigging voter lists. So what happens in Pakistan is you register to vote in elections, and you're told, okay, so you need to go to this place, this school, or this place to cast your vote. Randomly, what they're doing is changing people's voting locations. So on the election day on the 17th of July, you turn up, you go to the place where you've always gone or what you'd already checked. So the way you do that in Pakistan, you send a text message and you get a response. And they say, by the way, proceed to this place or proceed to that place to vote. And what they're doing is they're randomly changing all of this configuration. So people go to vote, they stand in line for hours and hours and hours. When it comes their time to vote, they realize that their voting place has been changed from A to B. Also, it is illegal for the government to provide money and benefits for the poor people, but that is openly going on before these elections. They're going in and granting, the poor people, giving them bags of rice, flowers, etc. Openly, you can see that. And thirdly, when the election does happen, there are plans in place to do massive vote rigging. So Imran Khan's government brought a lot of reforms to elections and electoral system in Pakistan. All of those laws have been cast aside or defeated. And one of the things was overseas Pakistani. So people like me who are of Pakistani origin who live overseas, Imran Khan's government granted voting rights. Most of these things have been overturned and it's been challenged in the Supreme Court. So the Election Commission of Pakistan is the fourth party which is actively working to rig the elections against Imran Khan. And lastly, the Pakistan Army, General Bajwa, right here, the head of Pakistan Army, along with his cahoots. So this election is in Punjab province of Pakistan. The largest city of Punjab is Lahore. Brigadier Rashid Nasir, who heads the ISI, Inter-Services Intelligence Desk in Lahore, is actively involved in rigging these elections against Imran Khan, and also other members of the military, Brigadier Fahim and Brigadier Tanveer, are also involved in rigging all of this stuff. So let me take you back to this slide and just take a look at what's going on here. So these are the 5 factors against Imran Khan, absolutely bent on making sure that Imran Khan does not win the provincial elections on the 17th of July. The current government, the religious parties, the judiciary, election commission, Pakistan Army leadership, and I should say a number of TV channels and media outlets as well. So all of these are rigged and primed and ready to go. Why? Why are all of these people doing that? Because the fault of Imran Khan and his government is they wanted to pursue an independent foreign policy based on its merits and demerits to Pakistan. They wanted to pursue an independent domestic policy, and they wanted to pursue an independent monetary policy. And in roughly 3.5 years, Imran Khan was in power, they tried to do that. Since 1951, America has influenced Pakistan tremendously. And the foreign policy, the domestic policy, the monetary policy, our weapons policy, everything is influenced by America. So Imran Khan is the first leader, after a few decades, who tried to break away from that and said, look, we're going to pursue policies which are basically beneficial to Pakistan, beneficial to Muslims, beneficial to people of Pakistan, etc., etc., etc. And the military, the judiciary, the two corrupt families who've ruled Pakistan for over 35 years, they have assets in the West, in America, and Europe, and Britain, and so on. They cannot allow that. And most importantly, if Pakistan pursues an independent foreign, domestic, and monetary policies, then a lot of these people will be called to account, and a lot of their corruption will be called to account, and they will be tried, jailed, or dealt with, whatever is the best way and the best suited for Pakistan. So, what happens if Imran Khan's party on the 17th of July wins 13 plus seats? Number one, they can then make this province right here, which is the largest by population and one of the most influential in Pakistan, they elect their own chief minister here. So what that does is instantly because the chief minister controls the bureaucracy, the police, and everything of this province. So this province is already, the government, it belongs to Imran Khan. So the first thing that instantly happens on day one is the police cannot crack down on innocent civilians, children, women who are just exercising their right to protest. Number one, straight away, day one, that stops. The brutality of the Pakistani police stops. Then what they can also do in the long run is, because they control the government in two provinces, they can dissolve the two parliaments. So because they're in majority, they can pass a resolution saying we dissolve the parliament of this province, we dissolve the parliament of this province. What that does is, if 2 out of the 4 provinces in Pakistan are dissolved, then the election commission and everybody else in Pakistan has no choice but to go for a full election throughout Pakistan, because it simply cannot function. 2 provinces will have no governments whatsoever, so the country cannot function. Therefore, they can go and have an election, which is what Imran Khan has been talking about. So what if PTI, or Imran Khan's party, loses? Chaos and civil war, because it is clear to anybody that the Imran Khan has huge popular support inside Pakistan and outside Pakistan. Of course, what matters is inside Pakistan, and what matters is inside this Punjab on the 20 seats where the elections are happening on the 17th of July. There's absolutely no way that Imran Khan can lose the vast majority of these seats. It's just not possible. You can see that people are angry at the government, people are angry at foreign intervention, people are angry at judiciary, people are angry at everybody, and they are favoring Imran Khan. So if Imran Khan's party loses and does not gain 13 plus seats in this election, then it can only happen by corruption, by rigging, by forcing, by all sorts of bad tactics. And the only outcome then that it could be is chaos and civil war in Pakistan, because the only person that's stopping Pakistani people, 220 million people coming out and openly rebelling against the police and the army, kind of the scenes that you're watching in Sri Lanka, are Imran Khan. So this is literally a make or break moment in the history of Pakistan. And I shudder to think what will happen if Imran Khan's party does not win and does not come to power in this province. I literally shudder to think what will happen of it. However, that is the factual discussion on the ground. But when I look at the situation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we believe that everything happens from Allah. Everything is on Allah Ta'ala's control. So Allah Ta'ala tells us in Surah Yusuf that Allah Ta'ala says, never give up hope of Allah's mercy. Truly no one despairs of Allah's mercy except one who have no faith. So to lose hope is tied to losing of faith. So we should have hope in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that things will turn out well. And the situation, the chaotic situation in Pakistan, will be controlled by these provincial elections, and hopefully, things will begin to tilt back to some sort of normalcy. If they do not, then it is a massive problem. Now, if Imran Khan comes to provincial power in the province on the 17th of July, then it is likely that he will come to national power. And if he comes to national power, or elections happen, fair and free elections, let me state, fair and free elections happen in Pakistan, he comes back to power, then Pakistan under him needs to continue to pursue this foreign, domestic, and monetary policy and defeat these forces. Okay, which is, it is sad to say, the two families in Pakistan who've ruled Pakistan for over 35 years have corrupted, looted, the treasury, looted people, inflicted brutality on the people. The religious parties, unfortunately, have also been part of it. Their vote bank comes from poor people who are Islamically inclined. A large portion of Pakistani population is Islamically inclined, conservative, practicing, and they take those sentiments and they use it, for their own gains. The judiciary in Pakistan also need to be called to account. The election commission in Pakistan needs to be reformed to make sure that every single election happens free and fair. And the Pakistani army leadership, and here I'm specifically talking about the leadership of Pakistan Army, the top chain. There were 16 or 17, senior generals in Pakistan who have assets in the West. Their families live in the West. Their children get educated in the West. They need to be brought to account. Okay, and this chain needs to be broken. And by the way, the Pakistani army kind of guards the secularism of Pakistan, and it's a very similar, you can say, eerily similar situation to what happens in Turkey. The Turkish army does the same thing, has been the guardian of secularism, and they are out of step with the rest of the population. 220 million people want to look after their own interest, want to follow Islam, and here it is an institution from the days of colonial times which want to stamp on this and march the country leftwards towards secularism. So let's hope that in the 17th of July elections, Imran Khan's party wins 13 plus seats, and things can turn for the better, inshallah. And we make dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring peace, safety, and security to Pakistan and its people. Ameen. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.